Kalafalahiyatu and warm greetings to those joining us on Pacifica TV. And here's our news bulletin for tonight. Firstly, as the new Minister for Infrastructure, Honorable Richie Matama shares some of the work under the ministerial portfolio, which includes the Ministry of Home Affairs. Among the key talking points is the inclusive society, his confidence in the new solar power installations and the ongoing work to rehouse displaced departments. And here's that story. As the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Richie Matama, talks about Niue as an inclusive society, including how the people of the island are meeting and accessing their basic needs.
Of course, yes. I believe Niue is an inclusive society. One of our greatest strengths is that we are, a close-knit community where people look after one another. That said, inclusion is never something that, we can take for granted. There will always be people whose needs require more attention, whether that relates to housing, health, disability support, employment, education, or, even social well-being. My role as Minister is to ensure government continues listening to communities, churches, village councils and service providers so we can identify needs early and respond appropriately. Our goal is simple, to make sure every person in Niue has access to essential services, opportunities and support.
Niue presumed amongst the more progressive on renewable energy sources in the Pacific with the current testing of the solar power installations. The minister says he is confident that solar power will work as it is showing encouraging results.
Energy security is one of the newest long-term strategic priorities. The renewable energy project is already producing very encouraging results. Preliminary figures indicate diesel consumption is reduced by around 44% since battery energy storage system became operational. And but this project is about much more than just saving fuel. You know that it is about reducing the dependence on imported diesel, strengthening our resilience to global fuel disruptions like we are facing right now, and building a cleaner, more sustainable energy for the future. Going forward, our focus will also be on maintenance, and our workforce capability, and ensuring that system remains reliable for many, many more years to come.
In one of the earlier Whanokepule after the election this year, the minister was asked by the Common Role member Moira Natama about his first 100 days as Minister of Home Affairs.
My first priority really, as I've already mentioned, is listening. As a new minister, it is important that I understand each portfolio properly before making significant decisions. That means, meeting with staff, engaging with communities and reviewing the current state of home affairs, police, disaster management, infrastructure, telecom and even broadcasting. I want our priorities to be guided by evidence rather than assumptions. By the end of the first 100 days, I expect to have, a clear work program after that reflects what our departments need, and most importantly, what, peoples of Niue need.
The minister also spoke about the outlook for the displaced departments. Although no deadlines for their relocation into permanent offices has been set. He also spoke about a recommendation by the Public Accounts Committee in last week's Whanokepule for the new budget spending to look into the improper use of government property.
At this stage, we are still, assessing accommodation requirements, building conditions and available funding across, the portfolio. So because that work is still underway, I would not be responsible. It's not responsible for me to give dates that I cannot yet guarantee for the time being. And what I can say is that providing safe and suitable workplaces remain a very important priority for government, and we will continue exploring both government funding, and even development partner support, where it's appropriate. Public assets, public assets is it belongs to the people of Niue. And government has, a responsibility to protect them. Following the recommendation from the Public Accounts Committee, we will strengthen asset management systems. You've heard the Prime Minister speak about that during the meeting. Improve record keeping and ensure departments have clear accountability for government property. That's the main thing. Where concerns arise, they will be dealt with through proper policies, appropriate investigations where necessary, and strong oversight. At the same time, we are reviewing resource gaps across departments so that equipment, staffing, and facilities are aligned with the services our communities expect. Good governance is about protecting public resources and ensuring they deliver value for the people.
Niue representative for the Asian Development Bank is on the island with its team this week. The visit is to touch base with the Niue government on the entity's alignment with Niue's development priorities. Here's the story. The Asian Development Bank provides support to 14 member countries, with Niue the most recent signing with the firm. Jonathan Bright, whose official title is Principal Operations Specialist, tells us about ADB's priority areas in the Pacific and more specifically about what the entity does here in Niue.
ADB has 69 member nations, and Niue was the most recent member to join the ADB back in 2017. So our relationship with Niue is really just getting started. We set up our country office here and in 2023, so we're really pleased to have a presence on the ground, and we're really getting started, getting the government and people of Niue familiar with the Asia Development Bank and getting started on providing some support. We are developing our first project in Niue, which we're very excited about, which will be working in aged care. So helping with building a systems approach to taking care with dignity Niue's elderly. So part of that will be increasing the capacity of the hospital to take on more of that function of supporting the elderly, but also helping improve communities and training and building capability in communities so people can live with dignity in their homes and be better supported, because we know how respected the elderly are here in Niue, and we know how much Niue wants to bring its people back to be able to live and enjoy Niue into their old age.
Mr. Bright spoke about the scale of projects that ADB would normally support and what is not within their scope of development support.
Here in Niue, the aged care project will be quite significant, and so we'll be working across the whole system. For us, we don't want projects that are too small, because the cost of working with ADB, the transaction cost is quite high. We have a lot of processes because, again, our systems are designed to work in these very large countries. So we want to build a project of scale that makes it worthwhile for government to invest the time, critically the time, with us to go through all these steps and processes and to work through our systems and procurement and safeguards, so protecting the environment, protecting the people, making sure that everything is value added, and then also finance to make sure the money's spent where it should be and properly audited. All these systems take time, and we will work closely with government to help build that capacity. But we're very sensitive to that the government of Niue is of a certain size, and we need to work within those constraints and help supplement and build the capacity around the government so we don't overwhelm the government with our systems and processes. ADB, our institution is 4,700 staff. So we're very large, and we have a lot of people working a lot of good things, but our job, who are the conduit between ADB and the government of Niue, is to channel that effort into an approach that is well tailored for the realities of Niue.
Mr. Bright says they seek to always create employment opportunities for locals. However, they are aware that small countries may not always have the required skills in which they would then need to seek elsewhere. Minister Honourable Richie Mautama also attended the Pacific Security and Peace meeting in Fiji, which was attended by various ministers and security experts from around the Pacific region. Here's the story. Noting Niue and New Zealand's arrangements on defence and security, the minister touched on what was relevant from the Pacific perspective on peace and security at a meeting in Fiji and what role Niue plays at these types of Pacific security meetings.
Arrangement with New Zealand in terms of security, regional security, but regional security is really much broader than defence alone. The discussions with Fiji focused on issues, that directly affect our people, everyday climate change, maritime security, cyber security, energy security, and economic resilience and transnational crime as well as a major talking point. Our participation ensures Niue's voice is heard and that our national priorities are reflected in regional decision making. We may be small, but we bring valuable perspectives on the unique challenges that small states face every day. Security today is about working together. No Pacific country can address these challenges alone. We all know that. So these meetings strengthen partnerships, improve information sharing, and help build Niue's own capability while contributing to a safer and more resilient Pacific.
Minister Mautama touched on Niue's unique security problem in his plenary discussion. The unmanaged dogs as a very familiar community security issue against the more dominant topics such as military strategy, foreign powers or religion rivalry. The comment captured the attention of New Zealand and Pacific media.
If you're asking whether it was out of touch, I'll say not at all. I think to enforce, reinforces one of the key messages of the dialogue. That security must be people-centered. When we think about security, many people immediately think about, they jump into military issues, geopolitical competition. Those are important, but for many Pacific communities like ours, security is also about whether families feel safe, walking through their villages, whether children can play safely, whether communities are protected from disasters and whether essential services are reliable. My comments about roaming dogs are simply an example of how everyday community safety matters just as much as our people. As the larger strategic issues, security should always begin with people's daily lives.
With rapid advancements in technology and online usage, digital training for online safety is a key area of focus Niue is looking at.
One of the practical outcomes is strengthening Niue's participation in regional cybersecurity, digital literacy and online safety programs. Artificial intelligence is creating both opportunities and new risks at the same time. Our focus is to ensure Niue develops the knowledge, skills and safeguards needed to use these technologies responsibly. The dialogue also strengthens regional cooperation by improving access to training, technical expertise and information sharing, which will support our future work in digital resilience.
Construction of a classroom for Niue Primary School Special Education has begun. This will be the first dedicated classroom for special needs children where they have in the past been shuffled between any available spaces, which includes the school sick bay and also the staff room. Here's that story.
After more than 6 years, the much-awaited project, funded by the Japanese government, has finally commenced. Principal of Niue Primary School, Mrs. Carol Edwards, and special needs teacher, Mrs. Mary Fatamaka, explained how this initiative came about.
This initiative was something that has been a long time coming, and it has been going on for a number of years. We've now on to our third minister, seeing we have a new minister now, our third minister. So the very first person we started talking and initiating this to go ahead was with our at the time Honourable Sauni Tongatule, who was a big advocate for children with special learning needs. And we had Sonia Talangi, and now we have our new minister. But we also had a lot of assistance along the way, and that was especially with people like Angela from NTAA and also Felicia from PMCU. And we also have our former director Bertha Tongahai, and now we have our new director Natasha. And so there's been a lot of people working together, myself and Mary is included in that, to try and bring this about. It was a need that, like I said, was a long time coming because of the growing number of children with additional learning needs within the school, not only mentally but physically as well. And so it was a space that was needed for these children, because before they were just being shuffled from room to room every year. They were in the sick bay at one time, they were in the staff room at one time, then they got a little room, but then we had to use that room, so they got moved to a different room. So it's a space that was born out of need. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started, you get to hear what had been happening before. So exactly what the principal had said. It's been a long time coming. Children weren't acknowledged with the disability they had. So again, it's going from place to place or outside because we don't have the capacity to, I suppose, support them in their educational learnings.
Both Mrs. Edwards and Mrs. Fatamaka says because of the high level of need for special education children to have their own space, they will consider whether the classroom could cater for any other use.
A learning environment for children with additional learning needs, whether it is used during the normal school hours. We are open to extending it to the use of our counterparts from NTAA. We had actually offered it earlier on to be a joint kind of venture for them to house their office there, but I think they're still thinking about it. But we aren't going to say no one can use it, because the purpose is for our students and our children, and we know that these children age out of the system at Niue Primary School, and they will be going on to Niue High School. And so although we're two different schools, it's a shared space that we are looking forward to all using and utilising together as people who have a common interest in our students and want them to be able to have their own space.
It's difficult for our students to be able to settle down when they're in their space and there are people coming in. And if when you were talking about sharing, they have their own different dynamics in terms of welcoming people. Very, very sensitive in terms of socialising. They can't socialise, they'll hide. So they have their own disability in terms of connecting with the community or whoever comes in. So yeah, it's for the kids that we have, who have the learning disability or are under the spectrum. But other activities, that's yet still to have those discussions, yeah.
Yes, so can I just add to that as well, because the design of the building, it is designed specifically to cater for the different learning needs.
Yeah.
Within the building itself, there are some breakout rooms, and those breakout rooms are for the students if it becomes too overwhelming for them, so that they can have an individual space that just to calm them down and be able to
deregulate themselves.
Yeah, and come back out when they're ready to join everyone else.
The classroom is set to open during the Constitution Week in October, and there's no real need for extra staff at this point.
So the building started last Friday, and believe me, that was one of the most exciting days that we've ever had, to see that it's actually going to go up. The time frame is to be opened during Constitution Week, which is October. And we know that's pretty quick, but we have all the confidence in the in the group that has been tasked with building our building. So we're looking forward to October. Depends on
The numbers.
It's
Yeah.
a numbers game because we need to make sure that the children's needs are catered for. So depending on the numbers, then we will assess whether we need additional staff, because the building itself has also got a side room, and that side room is also for intervention, which will cater for the primary school as well. So someone will be in that room. It's designed with an entrance from the outside, so the children going to intervention do not interrupt the students that are in the unit.
In their final remarks of thanks, they say the grand opening will be in line with the launch of an important policy document called the Inclusive Education Policy, and a celebrity will be in attendance for this important occasion.
The reason why we are targeting October for the opening is because that is when the inclusive education policy will be launched as well. And we hear that there is a celebrity coming in to launch the I don't want to give it away, but to launch the IE policy.
The policy.
So the bonus is that we would open our building at that time as well. So we also want to thank all the families of our students who have supported us, supported the teachers, supported the school, and supported all the programs that have been happening. And we try to make sure that our students have as much a similar experience to the rest of the children in the school, just so that they know that they are different in a way, but then they're not. They are also part of our community.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church will be conducting an evangelist initiative called New Way for Christ. The initiative that will run from the 12th to the 25th of this month will led by several pastors who have travelled from overseas, including fellow Niuean pastor Gideon Okesene. Here's the story.
BC News spoke with Pastor Numian Nangaha, who explains what the mission is about.
Basically, New Way for Christ is all about God. Just like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 2 verse 2, I determined not to know anything except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. The heart of every evangelistic meeting, it's all about Jesus Christ. And we shouldn't be silent about, because He is coming again. And the life and death of everyone depends on Jesus Christ. If we accept Him, we have eternal life. If we reject Him, then it is eternal death.
For the members of the church, Pastor Newman says it will mean a call for revival and reformation towards God.
Say revival and reformation. We cannot deny the fact that in our community, in our family, we have broken altars. Distraction has eaten away our time with God, and our time with God is getting smaller and smaller, but our time with ourselves, with other things, is getting bigger and bigger. That is why this question brings my mind back to Elijah, as Bible records in 1 Kings 18 verse 30. Elijah said to the people, come closer to me. And when they come closer to Elijah, that was on Mount Carmel, Elijah started to repair the broken altar. Now, Israel is a Christian nation, if we can say in our context today. A Christian nation that has backslidden from God. That is why I say we cannot deny the fact that our time with God is getting smaller and smaller, and we have broken altar. This altar need to be revived, and New Way for Christ is all about revival and reformation.
The initiative is part of the wider Country for Christ program that has been set for South Pacific countries for the next 5 years. This year's mission includes Niue.
Within the 5-year mission plan of Seventh-day Adventist Church in South Pacific Division, Country for Christ initiative comes in this space. For this year, we have Trans-Pacific Union Mission for Christ. Trans-Pacific Union Mission cover this mission: Solomon Island, Vanuatu, Tuvalu, Kiribati, American Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, and Niue as well.
The program then runs from the 12th to the 25th of July at 2 sites at Mutalo and the Niue High School, will include singing, prayer, health talks and sermons, while the side events will include health checks and a cooking class.
Basically, the program outline comprised of, we have health segment, and we plan that the health segment part will cover the evening timing from within 4:30 to 6. We will have a community health check unless our government approve it, because the Adventist Church, we are partnering with our government in terms of running 10,000 toe initiative within our island. 10,000 toe basically address lifestyle disease, and we would like to work with our government in rolling out this program within our community. We will also have a cooking class, and the main program at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. The main program will comprise of singing, prayer, health talk, and then we have the sermon. We will have preachers from our head office in Australia, Pastor Maveni. He is the Vice President of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in South Pacific. And then we will have Pastor Gideon Okesene. He is one of the Niuean as well. And we have Pastor Poara Teaukura. He is a senior pastor in New Zealand. And then Chaplain Yvonne Hypolite, one of the chaplain in Sydney Adventist Hospital. So this team will divide themselves in two groups. One group will be at the Mutalau site, and the other group will be in the Niue High School site. So within those groups, we will have a health team as well. And the leader for our health team is Adriel Carrasco Rex. She is a Niuean, and we are happy to have him. She is the health director for New Zealand Pacific Union Conference. So basically, that is the rundown of the program. It will begin the main program from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we will have our official launching on July 12th within the respective sites.
Pastor Newman says the event is open to all who would like to attend and acknowledges the contributions and support from the government, the health department, Ecclesia Niue, and other donations as well as businesses.
This is a public evangelism program and it's open to everyone. And I would like to welcome everyone to attend upon your convenience. Whenever time you're free, the program will start at July 12th and finish at July 25. I'd like to acknowledge Niuean community, business house, government, and all the non-NGO sector, friends, relatives, the other denomination who are very supportive to this upcoming program. God will bless the support and contribution that we all have for the mission work in our island.
The village of Alofi South is gearing up for the village annual show day in festival fashion. The main program begins tomorrow with the day one of the Marine Day events. However, BCN News was aware of the earlier events, such as one from yesterday called the Aliu to Earth Day, which is the environment and oceans clean-up activity. Here's the story.
Residents were invited to pick up rubbish along the roads and coastal areas of the village. Some of you might have seen youth and parents carrying rubbish bags and coconut baskets along roads in Alofi South. According to the program flyer, the event will award prizes such as first prize for most rubbish collected overall by weight, a second prize for most marine-related debris, and the third prize will be for most land-based litter collected. Group prizes are also on offer. The program will have daily events starting tomorrow and ending on Monday, following the show day that will take place on Saturday, 18th of July.
The Niue Island Sports Commonwealth Games Association has announced a Niue's team of athletes and officials who will be travelling to the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Scotland this month to represent Niue. The team is made up of 11 athletes and 10 officials. 4 male athletes and 1 female athlete will compete in boxing. 5 athletes will take in lawn bowls and 1 athlete will compete in shot put. Dugan Hollow Williams will return to compete for Niue. Dugan won a bronze medal in their last Commonwealth Games in 2022. Also competing is one from our TV Niue News team, Mr. Tifanga Tupuiliu. The team will be led by Chief de Mission Sydney Lui, and NISCA President Mr. Mauro Talangi will also travel with the team. BCN News hopes to catch up with the team before they depart on next Monday's flight. And we would also like to wish the Niue team all the best with your games before you come back. And that's our news bulletin for tonight. We will bring you more news bulletin in Wangahau on Tuesday next week. Osana Soneholo saying good evening.